Okay, so this is part two of Agenda 21, and what we're going to cover today, is the massive power grab by the global government over your ecosystems, your freshwater supply, your agriculture, your biotechnology, your rural and urban development, all the land resources that are available, including mining and other things. And what it is a way for the government to ensure the sustainability of these different resources by a power grab. And it will also ensure equal equity, is what it says. But really what that is code for keeping the poor poor and making the rich richer. And we've seen a sudden shift in the last 25 years where the rich just continue to get more rich and the poor continue to stay poor. We have a vast disappearing middle class in this country, and this is all going along with the Agenda 21 project that they're developing. It's a very dangerous project. It's a very dangerous agenda for many, many people. And some people want to go along with it because of the sustainable parts of it or the unsustainable parts of it. But basically, when you think about it, the Global Biodiversity Report that comes out by these technocrats who are supposed experts in their field assess the sustainability of all these different resources on Earth, and they have deemed nearly or all resources unsustainable with the current rising population. And a lot of that has to do with their vision of the world population being at 500 million to 1 billion people at a sustainable global population, which at this point would mean you would have to really do away with 8 to 9/10 of the current population in order to sustain the Earth's resources. So what we're seeing is a lot of government projects involved with the way that our fuel consumption is. We're seeing a power grab by major corporations tied to the government on land. We're seeing land being bought up and turned into commercial development in our urban areas. We're seeing a lot of suburban and very rural areas of the country being developed and bought up by these major corporations. Let's just say when a farmer gets taxed out of business, or a rancher can't afford the taxes on his business anymore and goes bankrupt by corporate global banking system, the major corporations come in and buy it up, and they're tied to the government. It's all part of the same agenda. They've also put a lot of water restrictions on certain areas of the country. They're even beginning to buy up and annex these certain rural areas that are suburban in these major size cities, continue to annex property and grow in size, continuing to push into a major government, building the size of the cities, and pushing people away from the rural areas into the cities, which also ties into this America 2050 project that we're going to be talking about in the future. We're going to be discussing that, and that's going to be a whole nother series. But part of this thing that I'm talking about now also deals with the abolishment of private property. And that's going to be the next series, the next installment in this series of the Agenda 21 project, is the abolishment of your private property. Their agenda is to get you off the land. The more these big corporations continue to buy up the land, the more these big corporations continue to buy up the small businesses, the more they push these small businesses out of business, the more they destroy these urban areas, these major cities, so that they can come back through and continue to build them up with these Agenda 21 type projects that I discussed in an earlier video about these mixed use spaces, continuing to push these cities into a transit oriented districts. And this is written, this is proven, this is documented, that they wish to provide these cities with all public transportation and move away from the private transportation industry. Look at what Uber is doing. They're continuing to provide you with rides, building a global entity and pushing you away from owning your own car. And I understand that, yes, cars do create pollution. They're trying to reduce the consumption, and they've tried carpool programs and all these other things. So in a way, some of this Agenda 21 stuff is good, but in the long term, it's really not good, because what they're continuing to going to try to do is to reduce the size of the land that people inhabit and develop these certain globally sized huge conglomerate cities in 10 different sectors here in the American continent and all over the world. And they will decide that the Asian continent will be the industrialized nation. They will de-industrialize the American continent and turn it into a major populace where people just live and consume, but the only money that you'll have will be provided by the government, and everything that you have and consume will be rationed and portioned by the government. So you may only end up with electricity 2 or 3 days out of the week, fresh water for 1 day. You will have to consume manufactured foods instead of fresh, organic, natural vegetables, natural foods, beef. All these things are being taxed out of business in order to continue to push this globalist agenda of a manufactured food source, which will be rationed by the governments. So anyway, there's a lot to discuss on this subject, but just to let you know that part of this deal is to gain control of every single aspect of your life, and it begins with the grab of all the natural resources available, deeming them unsustainable by this global biodiversity report, and thereby putting in place this globalist plan to begin to ration and portion and sustain only certain areas of the country and reduce the population in other areas by getting you off the land. And we're going to talk about that in our next video. It's about getting you off the land and abolishing the private property idea that we have in this country, which I think is a horrible idea. It's crazy, but they're going to push it forward. But I want to make one last comment. If this is the year 2050 or beyond, and you're watching this video as an educational video on how the American patriots tried to stand up against this globalist agenda, I just want to say, if your life sucks, I warned you, and so did thousands of other people, and we tried to stop this thing, but we were just not able to. So my name is Johnny Jetrod the Patriot. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a comment in the section below. Let me know what you think. There's a lot of discussion that we could be talked about, and it could spark further videos, more videos on this very same topic. Just talk about it. Let me know what you think. And go ahead and subscribe to my channel and tap that bell for future notifications for more awesome videos. Thank you, America.